You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Wednesday, 4th day of September, 2024. And this year has flown by. Thanks for joining us today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. First live broadcast is private. That's for members only and those taking their 1-week free trial. If you have not taken your 1-week free trial, go to mytradingiq.com. At the very top of the page, you'll see the link. 5-day free trial, no credit card required. Click the purple button, fill out the registration form, hit submit. We'll do our best to get your desktop set up today, get your indicators indicating today, and then your trial will officially begin tomorrow. And you think, whoa, that's Thursday. I'll only get 2 days. Not true. You get 5 consecutive trading days, even if it stretches over a weekend. So really, now we call it what it is, a 7-day free trial. Now you might say, well, what good are the indicators to me over the weekend? Well, you can use market replay. You can trade the markets that do trade over the weekend, and you can just get familiar with the whole environment. So don't worry about what day of the week or weekend or hour of the day you sign up for the trial. You'll always get 5 consecutive trading days, even when it stretches over a weekend. Now, you're limited to 2 trials per lifetime, and they got to be 6 months apart. However, if you have some kind of extenuating circumstances, shoot us an email, support@cfrn.net. And plead your case. Wow, I saw the new setup you have on TradingView, and man, I really think I can actually do that. I took a trial 3 months ago, but what's the chance you let me have another look? In that regard, we're fairly generous, so give it a shot. Okay? All right, when the live training room ends every day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break and come back at noon for this broadcast, which is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways you can join this afternoon broadcast live. Best way, you only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com. This time, scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click that link, complete that 30-second registration form. You're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day, you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email, there's a link, so at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it will automatically log you into our platform. The benefit there is you will have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. There will be days when you're out of the office, away from the desktop, but you'd still like to join live. And there'll be days when you're busy and can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is very easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. You already got the YouTube part down, so all you have to remember is CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, as we're doing right now, simulcasting in 2 different places, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,600 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And thanks to the power of YouTube, those of you who are new to the CFRN community, you can actually see how we've evolved over the years. Go to our YouTube channel, you can scroll back 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Just pick some days at random, watch a little bit, fast forward a little bit, jump to another day, week, month, year. You get the idea. Now, obviously, the more recent broadcast will be more relevant in regards to things that are happening in the markets and in the world. But there's a huge library out there for you to peruse in your spare time. This is our daily schedule for the afternoon broadcast. I'm going to start with our daily devotional, word of prayer, some news, a recap of the alerts. About 50 minutes into the broadcast, Michael will join us, give us a recap of what happened in the live trading room this morning. And then, top of the hour, we'll go live on the TradingView platform for 30 minutes, do some live trading, and then I'll come back and wrap things up with our good word for the day. So let's get started. Now, the topic of the devotion that we're in last week, this week, and next week, God's dream for your life. Our scripture today is Acts 20, verses 22 through 24. I'm going to share with you from the Message translation, starting in verse 22. But there is another urgency before me now. I feel compelled to go to Jerusalem. I'm completely in the dark about what will happen when I get there. I do know that it won't be any picnic, for the Holy Spirit has let me know repeatedly and clearly that there are hard times and imprisonment ahead. But that matters little. What matters most to me is to finish what God started. The job the Master Jesus gave me of letting everyone I meet know all about this incredibly extravagant generosity of God. Again, that was Acts 20, verses 22 through 24. So, 3 benefits of telling others about your dream. When you get your dream from God, you should make it public and announce it to other people. Just by telling other people, you're making a statement of faith, and other people will want to come along and be a part of it. You visualize the dream first, and then you verbalize the dream by saying, "This is what I believe God wants to do in my life." I relate to that in that when my wife and I were handed our dream from God to build the orphanage 24 years ago in Kampala, Uganda, East Africa. In the beginning, our friends and family, they thought we had gone off the deep end. Honestly, they were genuinely concerned that we were somehow being taken to the cleaners. But anyway, 24 years later, obviously they weren't right, and God's dream for us was right because it's still standing, still taking care of 700 kids each and every day, making sure they have food to eat, roof over their head, a bed to sleep in, and they know that they're loved, not only by the staff and the people there running the orphanage, but most importantly, they know that God loves them. Make sure you spend quiet time. We talked about this the other day with God, because I know some of you really aren't sure what God's dream is. In fact, you've never really searched for it. It's always been, well, when my ship comes in, when this happens, once the kids go to college, blah, blah, blah. A million different reasons. Like, that's when I'm going to figure out what it is God wants me to do, and I'm going to get busy. Well, wherever you are right now, in life, geographically, financially, you are where God wants you to be right now. But He has a dream for your life, and He's really hoping that you're going to step out and fulfill it. My wife and I were very confident in verbalizing these dreams for the orphanage, and I knew in faith that they would become reality. Why? Well, because they were inspired by God. It doesn't mean I wasn't scared to death, but I knew the fear of failure would keep me from doing what God wanted us to do. So there's 3 benefits of telling others about your dream. Number 1, it gets you started. Once you've announced it, you're accountable to try and get moving. Number 2, it attracts other people's support. Now, as I said, friends and family were worried about us, but once they started seeing pictures of the land we had bought in Uganda, and once they saw the construction of that first building that went up, they came alongside. They wanted to be a part of what we were doing. And quite honestly, my wife and I could have never done it on our own. But the power of the Holy Spirit touched other people to come alongside us. We have people who support the orphanage from around the world now. People I don't know, people I've never met. People who found us in some of the most curious ways. One, a doctor from Germany, who, when he realized we did not have a high school, we had primary through 7th grade, and then we had to pay tuition to send kids to the next level of education. He built us a high school right on the property. By that point, we had 25 acres. Again, my wife and I couldn't have done that on our own. But by telling people, by making a statement of faith, and then by pushing ahead, when neither one of us had any kind of background or education of any sort to work in that field. But we knew that God had spoken to us, so we were just being faithful. We had no idea what would come of it. I mean, we had the vision, we had the dream, but if you'd asked me then, would I be talking about it to people 24 years from now? I don't know if I had that much faith, but I'm sure glad we were still heard from God and followed what He said. So again, These are the 3 benefits of telling others about your dream. 1, it gets you started. It makes you accountable. 2, it attracts other people's support. Like I said, once we got it going, then other people wanted to get in on it. A dream from God will attract people that you don't even know yet to help you. We're living proof of that. And number 3, it releases God's power. Because of your faith, you step out of the boat and start walking on water. Remember, God will hold you up. Join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you today, trusting in your guidance and purpose for our lives. Like Paul, help us to go forward with courage, not knowing what lies ahead, but confident that you are with us. Strengthen us to complete the race and fulfill the ministry that you have given us, proclaiming the gospel of your grace with boldness and love. May we not be deterred by challenges, but remain focused on the mission set before us. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen and happy Wednesday. Let me give you the numbers from around the world. Start here in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Quite a different picture. You remember yesterday, here in the U.S., in the Asian markets, in the European markets, it was all blood in the streets. Today, anytime you have a wide-ranging day like we had yesterday, a following day of some somewhat quiet sideways consolidation is typically what you'll see. Right now, the Dow cash market up 17 points, the NASDAQ up 6.5, S&P 500 is down 2, and the Russell 2000 is up 3. So, pretty quiet, pretty thin, and while they aren't all the same color, you know we like them to all be all 4 green or all 4 red, the S&P is barely in the red. So by the time this broadcast finishes, we may see more green, and we may see all green, but the markets that are positive and in the green, it's not by much. So we're kind of teeter-tottering on the edge. What's going to happen next? Crude oil down 60 cents, trading 69.74 last. It's a drop of almost 1%. Gold up $2.60, trading 25.60 last. Silver up 16 cents, trading 28.51 last. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei did not get the memo. The Nikkei closed down 1,638 points. That's 4.25%. Shanghai dropped 18. The Hang Seng fell 194, which is just over 1%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE down 28. The DAX down 155, and for the DAX, that's almost 1%. And the CAC down 74, 1%. So that gave us a red day in Asia. It was a red day for the UK. But it's a mixed Radio Wednesday here in the US of A. In fact, in that short amount of time, the NASDAQ slipped into the red. Now it just popped back to unchanged. Now it's up 4 points. Yeah, mixed markets. This is a market looking for direction. So we'll have a go at those numbers again before the end of the broadcast. And in world news, Russian airstrikes on a Ukrainian military institute and nearby hospital yesterday killed at least 50 people and wounded 270 others. Strike on the central Ukrainian city of Poltava is considered the war's deadliest single attack this year. Meanwhile, 5 of Ukraine's ministers resigned as part of another government shakeup, leaving more than a third of the country's cabinet vacant after other resignations and dismissals earlier in the year. Fighting in the 2.5-year war has intensified since last month. Ukraine has continued its cross-border offensive into Russia, having seized at least 500 miles of territory, while Russia has advanced into eastern Ukraine. Separately, Mongolia welcomed President Putin for a state visit, ignoring an arrest warrant for Putin issued by the International Criminal Court last year. Mongolia is among 124 nations that are members of the court and is required by international law to comply with the warrant. Mongolia, which relies on Russia for fuel, could face serious consequences for failing to do so. Now imagine, had they arrested Putin, obviously he would not have gone if he thought that was a possibility. But that would have changed the shape of the world. In the Congo, at least 129 people are dead and 59 others injured after an attempted escape from a prison in the Democratic Republic of Congo's capital yesterday. Roughly 24 people were shot by guards as they sought to break out, while the remainder of the dead were reportedly killed in a subsequent crowd surge and fire. The Makala Central Prison in the Congo's capital on the Congo River in Central Africa was built in 1957 when the country was still under Belgian rule. The capital's sole prison facility is designed to hold 1,500 prisoners, but houses nearly 12,000 inmates. Think about that. Built to hold 1,500, holding 12,000. 70% of whom haven't even yet faced a trial. Rights advocates have long condemned the facility as unsafe. Prisoners reportedly attempted to break out of their cells amid a power outage that had cut off fans and water access in 90-degree heat. Officials estimated roughly 500 inmates died last year from suffocation and disease in the facility. The incident comes as the country of 100 million people also responds to an mpox outbreak and a resurgence in its 3-decade civil conflict. Wow. Prayers for the people in the Congo. You know, there's a podcast called Ear Hustle. It's actually done often inside of San Quentin, but it's an interesting podcast, and it's easy to remember the name. Jot it down. Ear Hustle. It's a membership type podcast, but if you wait a week, then you can listen to the episodes for free. Today's episode that dropped had to do with people who become institutionalized. They've spent so much of their life in prison, that's really the only place they feel comfortable. And Jesus came to set the captives free. Yet some would rather be there. Job openings fell more than expected in July. Data comes as investors closely watch for signs of further cooling in the labor market amid speculation the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates this month. New data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics released today showed there were 7.67 million jobs open at the end of July, a decrease from the 7.91 million seen in June. This marked the lowest number of job openings since January of 2021. That information came as part of the JOLTS Openings and Labor Turnover Survey. On Wall Street, they're saying there's a new era of easy money dawning. The Federal Reserve is nearing the end of an era as the central bank looks to cut interest rates for the first time in 4 years. If the Fed eases monetary policy at its meeting September 18th, as expected, it will officially mark the termination of the most aggressive inflation-fighting campaign since the 1980s. Its benchmark rate is currently at 5.25% to 5.5%, a 23-year high. The central bank's new era of easy money is expected to last through 2025 and 2026. That shift will ripple through the U.S. economy by making it cheaper for Americans to borrow what they need to buy houses and cars or make credit card purchases. Businesses will also have an easier time taking out loans to fund their operations. The U.S. yield curve disinverts. The U.S. 2-year notes yield fell below the 10-year notes for only the second time since 2022, as weaker than anticipated job openings bolstered wagers on steep interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve. Speaking of wagers, Vegas, they now have Trump as the favorite. U.S. Treasuries jumped today, led by policy-sensitive, shorter maturity notes after data showed the U.S. job openings fell in July to the lowest level since the start of 2021, as we already discussed. Now, the Atlanta Fed, Bostic, he made a statement today. He believes the central bank cannot wait until inflation hits 2% to begin cutting interest rates, and that while the job market has weakened, it's not weak. Talk to somebody looking for a job. Bostic's comments come ahead of the government jobs report due out Friday, and that's a big one, which Fed officials are looking to for direction on the labor market. July's jobs report clocked in weaker than expected and stirred fears in the markets of a recession. As I've said for a long time, if we get away with a recession, we should count ourselves blessed. The yen, having a big day, surged more than 1% against the dollar at one point today, as fresh signs of a cooling U.S. labor market bolstered the case for the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates more aggressively in the coming months. The Japanese currency reached 144 per dollar, the strongest in a week before paring the advance. The move brings the yen's gain over the last 2 days to almost 2% and came after a key segment of the U.S. yield curve, the spread between 10 and 2-year notes, disinverted for only the second time since 2022 as Fed easing bets gain steam. And the Nordstrom family wants to take Nordstrom private. They are offering to take the department store chain private for $23 a share, teaming up with a Mexico-based retailer in its latest bid, according to a filing today. That price would value the company at roughly $3.76 billion. Its shares have gained 35% since Reuters first reported in March that the family was showing interest in taking Nordstrom private. I'm always amazed by the people who shop at Nordstrom's. You can get the same shirt, the same pair of pants at Kmart. It's just got a different label on it. But for some people, money just isn't an issue. All right, Logic 247, that's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. Not just E-minis, but also crude and gold, euro, silver, bonds. We are currently in week 318. Over the last 318 weeks, we've issued over 17,700 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on market structure and a very simple process we teach all of our passport holders in their one-on-one mentoring sessions. Monday, of course, was a holiday. This recap Valerie did at 6:15 a.m. Eastern this morning. So a few things will have probably changed, and there have been some new alerts put out. But at the time she did the recap, since the markets opened Monday night, we issued a total of 14 alerts. Still waiting on the outcome of 5, plus the ones issued this morning. It gave us 9 actionable alerts, of which 1 or 11% would have been stopped out based on market structure and that very simple process that we teach all of our passport holders. The purpose of the logic alerts is not for you to just trade so you don't have to learn how to trade. They're a tool to help you learn how to trade. More importantly, they're designed to help you learn to read the chart so that you can take a 30-minute chart just like I do and find windows of opportunity in the market. And then you exercise patience and wait for price to get to that spot. Now, all you got to do is when those alerts come out, draw horizontal lines at the entry price, the initial target, the additional targets. And if you'll repeat that process again and again and again, pretty soon you'll be able to look at any 30-minute chart of any market and know with a great degree of certainty what the next high probability move is. Just don't make the mistake of relying on trading those in order to avoid having to learn how to trade. Our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts, are a little bit different. Basically, they help you figure out if you've learned to read the chart yet. Now, all members and all trial members have access to all of this information here. The logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 24/7, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session and vice versa. Last night, the CTAs came out at 6:45 p.m. Eastern. Been running a little bit late the last couple of days. I usually try to get them out by 6:30. But again, the logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock. But the CTAs are posted as a static report. Okay. All right. All of these alerts, all of these targets were in the hands of our members and trial members at 6:45 p.m. Eastern last night. So let's go look at the daily chart where we start every day. Why the daily chart? Well, institutional traders, the ones who actually move price because of their account size and the size they trade in, they look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. It has everything to do with account size. They can stay in a profitable trade far longer than you and I are comfortable with. They can also withstand a much deeper drawdown than you or I would be comfortable with. So whether you trade futures or stocks or crypto or Forex or ETFs, if you'll make it a part of your daily routine to just spend 2 minutes with the daily chart before you drop to your smaller time frames to start trading, over time, it will help you to be more successful at reaching your goal for the day. Not only can you see what the institutional traders are up to, but you're able to identify major areas of resistance, support. Now, did we just creep down that bullish cross? We didn't quite make it. Buyers came in ahead of schedule. Now, we have traded through the 24 and we closed below the BBC yesterday. We've got red and falling overhead. That's a bearish scenario. But right here at the lowest fib extension and the bullish cross, we would expect a bounce. Looks like we got that bounce a little bit early. But price may come back down to test that area. The pullback to the BBC, that's the green line, stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses above it, we're bullish and anticipate higher prices. When price crosses below it, we're bearish. We anticipate lower prices. It's always relative to whatever time frame you apply it to. Whether it's a daily, weekly, or monthly chart, 30-minute chart, a 5-minute chart, a tick chart, a range chart, it doesn't matter. Markets are fractal in nature, and the BBC functions the same on whatever time frame you apply it to. So closing below the BBC and then attempting to get to this next level of support. Okay. Interesting to see buying come in ahead of it. We were looking for the bounce to come in at around 54.96, and today's low is 55.06. So about a 50-point difference. Anyway, let's see. No, 54.96, and today's low was 55.06. That would be 10 points. So buyers came in about 10 points ahead of where we anticipated and have now driven us up to what was once support. Now that we're below the BBC is resistance. Pullback holds more often than not, but eventually it will trade through. See how it held there and held there and held there. It held there, but then ultimately traded through. And then on the retracement, the pullback held. And then we got that big, on the way down, we did have one retracement to the BBC that held. Took us down to this previous bullish cross. Okay, this bullish cross here, for the market bound support, it's the same thing we expect here. The difference being the market had dropped a lot further when it hit this area. and this area. So again, we'll see how price closes today. But in fact, got some intraday buying, but at the end of the session, we'll know whether traders were willing to take those long positions home over the evening, or if, remember, these long buyers, they've got stops down, probably around here. Okay. So we'll see what happens. Let's go to the 30-minute chart of the ES. Now, again, all alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. The logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts. Refresh this chart. There we go. So this was the opening candle last night. Right here, the vertical line separates today, Wednesday. Here's Tuesday. Here's Monday. We were closed. It was a short day. ES folded at 12 noon Eastern. Or 12, was it 12:30? Yeah, I guess 12:30. So we opened and we dropped right to a short target. And then we spent a lot of hours consolidating there. Finally, red and falling turned to blue and climbing. So we went up to challenge the BBC. The pullback held multiple times. The short target was support, all based off that low from yesterday. Blue and climbing got us above the BBC, so we got a leg and a retracement. Pullback held. And we got a leg and a retracement. The pullback held. So right now, because the step line and blue and climbing are directly above price, they are potential resistance. On the way down and on the way up, okay, blue and climbing, that's your friend. Price, step line, blue and climbing, right? But when they get directly above price, then they can become resistance because blue and climbing might be on its way to becoming red and falling. If so, that might take price back below the BBC. Now we've still got one weekly zone down here at 54.59/60. Right now, price is above the BBC, and price is always trying to get to a weekly trading zone. From the moment the market's open, Sunday night, till they close Friday afternoon. If price is above the 30-minute BBC, it's trying to get to the zone above. If price is below the 30-minute BBC, it's trying to get to the zone below. When price drops to a zone, we expect support. When it rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance. We've published the zones every week since December 14th of 2009. So this December is going to mark 15 years. They come out every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, except when Monday's a holiday. Then they come out Tuesday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. So will we hit that long target today? Well, that's way up at 55.91. So we've turned to a doji here on the daily. 55.91, that would put us back above the BBC. So I don't think we'll see it today, but you got to embrace all possibilities. However, there is a window of opportunity here from 55.55 up to 55.65, 64, about a 9-point window of opportunity. And if price takes out that high, then we expect resistance at the zone where we found support yesterday. On the Dow, Here's where we opened last night, and like the ES, we dropped straight down to the short target. Odd bounce up into red and falling in the step line, and because they were directly above price, they served as good resistance, and so that sent us back down to the short target. Buyers came in, red and falling turned to blue and climbing. We consolidated for quite a few hours at the BBC. Remember, each candle represents 30 minutes in time. And so off we go with that perfect stack: price, step line, blue and climbing, BBC. We didn't quite make it all the way to the long target. The high of the session was 41,260. So we missed it by 10 ticks or 10 points. The Dow doesn't really have ticks. All the other markets do. The Dow just points. We are dropping below the BBC right here. So if we take out this low, so you got a window of opportunity right here, and you got a window of opportunity from 49.90 to 49.70. That would be good for your goal for the day. And should price continue to drop, then you got another window down here from 48.90 to 48.70. Okay. On the Russell, here's the open last night. Quick drop to the short target. A lot of sideways consolidation. Then at the 9:30 open on Wall Street, price managed to get back above the BBC, and it ran into resistance. See this little wick right there? That high was 2173.90, 2173.70. So a 2-tick lower high. Okay. Always looking left for guidance and direction. Now we got above the BBC. We retraced to the BBC. The pullback held, but the step line in blue and climbing got directly above price, and so now it's acting as resistance. So price looks like it wants to come back and test this again. On the short side, 21.38 down to 21.36. That would be enough for your goal for the day. And if price heads in the other direction, 21.66 up to 21.71.73. So nice opportunity there if buyers come in. But if you see blue and climbing, hook over and turn to red and falling, and your money wants to be on the short side. On the NQ, here's where we open. And just like the other indices, we drop right to the target and this week's lowest weekly trading zone. Right here. You're looking at the lowest weekly zone this week. Market found support and bounced. Resistance sent us back to support, back to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, back to support. And then we made a pretty good run. This high, 1911.14.75, 1911.13.50. Okay, less than a point difference. So then we get a retracement to blue and climbing where we found support. But this is important. We failed to put in a higher high. So that shows some weakness in the market. If price were to trade below the BBC, keep in mind that you've got a bullish cross right here. So even a spike of the BBC could reach down to that area, which we would expect to be potential support, till proven otherwise. Here's crude oil. This is the open last night, and we dropped right to the short target. We traded below it. Go look left, you'll find out why. Buyers came in, pushed us above the BBC, got a leg, and a retracement. Remember, the pullback holds more often than not. And then we got a leg that took us all the way to the target, pretty much to the tick. This candle jumped up to 71.46, and the zone is 71.40/71.45. Resistance will always send the market looking for support. And so here's the low of the session. Buyers came in early, and maybe wish they hadn't, because we've got red and falling. Now, we've already pulled back to the BBC 1, 2, 3 times. The step line is starting to cross red and falling, so we may head back up and test it one more time, but you've got a series of lower highs here. And here, and here, and here, and for the moment here, okay? So that's a sign of weakness, which is a call for lower prices, and there's still that one zone down below. Okay, Michael is here. So when I come back, we'll cover gold, where we've hit both the short target and the long target. But for now, Michael's going to give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning. Then we'll do some live trading on TradingView for a half hour. And then I'll come back, finish the alert recap, and close out with our good word for the day.
All right.
Okay, your purple browser looks pretty.
Thank you. Thank you. It goes with the purple button. It matches pretty well. All right.
Yes, it does. It matches very well.
I don't think I have a choice in the purple.
Different shades of purple, but
yeah,
purple's the thing.
Yes.
Okay.
It is a thing. Reminds me one time. That's a rabbit hole. Never mind. I'll get into it later. Anyway. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 4th day of September 2024. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button right here. There's no credit card required for the trial, right? When you click on that purple button, you will be sent to this registration page where all that we ask for is first name, your last name, your email, your phone number, and then there are 5 multiple choice questions. Answer those questions honestly, please. If you have an NinjaTrader, give us your machine ID. If you have TradingView, give us your login ID. If you don't have TradingView, you should really get TradingView. All right, you can get the free version. You can work with the free version. You're going to have to pay for real-time data. It's a whole $7 a month, but you're going to have to pay for real-time data if you're going to trade futures. If you're not trading futures, you don't have to pay for the real-time data. But if you are trading futures, pay that $7. It's worth it. All right, so the spreadsheet. We had a pretty good day again today. Not as good as yesterday. We're off. If I counted that last 12-tick trade that I took on the NQ, 12-tick, I think it was 12 ticks I got on the NQ. We would have had a better day than yesterday, but I didn't count it. As it is, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Let me see who we have in here for an audience this morning. Okay, this afternoon, I should say. All right, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures. I think I just said that. Today is the 4th day of September 2024. We made 228 ticks on the NQ. We lost 3 on the Russell. We made 15 on the YM and 13 on the ES. That put us at $1,362 on the morning session with 1 contract. And yesterday it was $1,392. And if I added those 12 ticks, we would have been at $1,422. Wow, that was really fast. Okay, so this morning It took us 11 minutes and 5 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $1,327.50, and we took a total of 21 trades. All right, 21 trades. So on the month now, we're at $2,755. That's over 2 business days, averaging $1,377.50. On the year now, we're at $72,555. That's over 165 days, averaging $439 per contract per morning session. Okay. If you were to quit trading when you get your goal for the day, and you were to add 1 contract per month, so far this year, you would have only worked 51.1 hours, and you would have averaged $2,074 per hour. Now, I want to get this number up above 2,400 this year. Right now that I've accomplished my goal with the 24/20 blueprint, I've accomplished that goal. My next goal is to make this number better than it was last year. Right, last year that was $2,400 and something dollars. I think. Go back up here. The hourly rate last year was $2,413. So that's what we're hoping for again this year. Okay. We want to get better than that this year. We want to get better than 2,400. And the thing that's going to make that go up, obviously, is the totals, but the time it takes to get to those totals is what's going to make that go up faster. Okay. The total every day should be a minimum of 900, but if I can do that in 900 in 2 minutes, something like that, then that's going to make that jump up a little faster. Anyway, let's get into the actual trades. Okay, here we go. On the YM. On the YM now. Let's blow it up. Take a look. We didn't have that many trades here. On the YM, we only had a couple of trades, a 5-tick and a 10-tick. And it doesn't, oh, there's one right there. I think that was the 5-tick right there. And then a little while later, we had a 10-tick trade somewhere in there. But let's just go over the trades that did trigger. Okay, quickly. There's a lot of them. So actually, it's not that many if you think about the ribbon being spread out all the way out. There's one right here that we missed. One right here that we missed. One right here that we missed. Now remember, everything's got to put in a lower swing or a higher swing. So one right here that we missed, one right here that we missed. This is during the break. We had 2 that we missed during the break. So there weren't that many trades on the 19 range, but there were enough, and every one of them was a good trade. That's the YM. I'll go to the Russell. On the Russell, we just had, you can see the whole Russell right here. We had a couple of trades on the Russell, but we had a few trades on the Russell, actually. The first one we had was 2 ticks. Doesn't look like I marked that one down. The first one we had was 2 ticks. The next one we had was 20 ticks. So we ended up with 22 ticks, and then we stopped out minus 25 on this one. This did end up going in the direction it should have. It stopped us out pretty much to the tick and then kept going. So we ended up with minus 3 on the Russell. Okay. And the ES now. On the ES, on the ES, we had, let's see, go back to the beginning. I was using this for training this morning. Okay, the whole diamond principle, this ended up happening really quickly, but then the follow through didn't happen very fast at all. It ended up taking twice as long as it should have, but it did find support at this level, pulled back, and then pushed down again. I'll go over all that in a little bit, but on ES, we had a few trades here. There's some really nice trades on ES that I missed, but we started out with a break even on the first one, plus 5 on the second one, plus 2 on the third one to get us plus 7, plus another 2 there to get us to plus 9, and then we had a plus 4 somewhere to get us to 13. Here, just plus 4 to get to 13. And that is where we ended up with the ES. Now in here, I was showing in here that these were all valid trades because every one of them came after a higher swing. Right, but there were some other pulls out of the oversold in here that did not end up being valid trades, like this one right here, because it did not come off a higher swing. The price action stuff still has to happen, guys. All right, we can have all these indicators that tell you exactly where to get in, and that's great, but you still have to have continuation of the trend. Every trade needs to continue the trend, and so understanding what is a trade, even if you miss it, it's got to continue the trend. Okay. So there was one here and one here that I missed. There and there I missed. During the break. Let's get into the break right here. We had one trade. Well, after all these that I highlighted in here, we had to put in the lower swing, which we did right there, and then you could take this one right here, which would have been the first stop out. You've taken that right there, which would have been the stop out, and it didn't put in a lower swing. Tried to change directions. I give you another trade right here, but it still hadn't put in a lower swing, so I probably wouldn't have taken that. Tried to change directions again, never really made it. We need to get all 4 lines visible. I think if you stretch this out right here, you'll see that you did have all 4 lines on this down close right here. So you could have taken that would have worked out okay. And then moving over, we had that one right there, which would have been okay. That one right there would have been okay. That one right there would have also been okay. That would have been a break-even trade. Then we wouldn't have done anything else after that until we got a higher swing. This was not a trade here. Turned around and started going down. So now we have a whole bunch of junk. So there was a lot of opportunity again on the ES. We ended up with plus 13 ticks on the ES. Pretty easy trading today. The NQ. Now the NQ was kind of wild again this morning, even on the 31 range. It was kind of wild this morning. We had a lot of ticks on the NQ because almost every trade we took ended up going the full 48 ticks. All right, so in here this morning, our first trade on the NQ was right here, and that stopped us out, minus 36, right? The next trade we took was right here. That was a 48 tick that got us back to 12. And then we had a break even there, and we had another stop out here. That put us to minus 24. Then we had a 12 tick win there that got us to minus 12. I forgot why I drew that in there. I'm sure there was a reason. Then we had a 48 tick win here that got us to 36. Then we had a smaller win right here that got us to 52. And then we had a 48 tick win there that got us to exactly 100, but I messed it up and it ended up giving me a short. I ended up going long on the move down right here by accident. I lost 4 points on that, or 16 ticks, so it went back down to 84. So that was a mistake. Went from 84 to 132 right here. 84 to 132. Why'd that end up being so much? Anyway, it did. 84 to 132. I think that's 48 ticks. Yeah, that's right. It was 48 ticks. 132, and then from 132 to 180 on that one, and then 180 to 228 on that one. Then we had a break even, and then I got into the lesson plan, and there were more trades here during the lesson plan that I didn't do. There was that one right there, that one right there, this one right in here. That was not one. That one right there. Did put in a lower swing, so that was okay to take. Right here, okay. And this one was right, and I didn't write this one down in totals, but I got 12 ticks on that one. And during the break, we had one right there that worked out, one right there that worked out, one right here that did not work out. Now this one, actually, this was not actually a trade because it didn't put in a higher swing. We turned around and started going down, and if you stretch it, yeah, you really don't really have anything in there. Going back over here, there was one there that worked out. One right here that worked out to enough to get the stop to break even or take some profit. I had to put in a higher swing to be able to take the next one, which triggered. Never mind, it didn't trigger on that side. It triggered on the other side, right here. That worked out. Then going back to this side, you can't see all 4 lines in there, but if you would have taken it, it worked out. In here, you can see all 4 lines. That would have stopped you right there. That would have stopped you. That brings us current. So we ended up with plus 228 ticks on the NQ. All right, we ended up missing out on a whole bunch of trades this morning, but there were a ton of them. Ample opportunity today. Now, for anybody that's coming on in the live stream right now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go to mytradingiq.com right here. So we can sign up for the free trial. Click on the purple button. There is no credit card required for this trial. Click on that purple button. Once you do that, you will be sent to this registration page. on this page, all that we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number. Okay, all we ask for is your name, your email, and your phone number right here. It's 5 multiple choice questions. You should want to give us this information. Your TradingView login ID if you have TradingView, and your NinjaTrader machine ID if you have NinjaTrader. Okay, that's all we need from you. Give us that information, and we'll be able to get your indicators indicating on your desktop before you get started with the trial. All right, you want to have that going at the beginning of the trial. And that's it. Any questions? Feel free to ask. But for right now, we're going to jump back into trading as much as I can. Right now, I'm just going through here and seeing. Let's do this. youtube.com/CFRN. Here we go. All right, I want to start this live stream so I can see questions coming in YouTube. If anybody has any questions in YouTube, I don't see any yet. Okay. So right now we are overbought on the ES, and the ribbon is spread. Now remember, you don't have to actually touch the ribbon. You just got to come out of the overbought. All right, it happens to be spread as well, and this is something that we went over this morning in the lesson plan. It is the first pullback after a direction change, so this is a really high probability trade. If it does trigger, it didn't trigger because it just turned blue there, but if it did trigger, it would have been a really high probability trade. Now the YM, let's look at the YM. This is something we can put on together right here. The high of this bar is 13, so you're going to be looking at 93 right there to sell. Right, the high of that bar is 13. You see it right up here. The high of that bar is 13, so I'm going to sell 20 ticks below that bar. All right, there it is. The ribbon is spread. You were able to put that order on with me. Did get a little slippage, so it should have a 25 tick stop. I'm going to move this stop to the right place. After 10 ticks in profit, we want to bump that stop to break even. Okay, so once we get 10 ticks in profit, I will bump the stop to break even. We are not there yet. It's going to get down to 81. Okay, the swing low is right here at 72, so it should go through 72. 81 should not be an issue here, right? And once it gets down there, we'll bump this stop. And you see that number right here, it's 75. It's going down there. I could even put a target down there at 75. 16 ticks if it makes it down there. It hasn't gone enough to get the stop to break even yet, though. Okay, I don't really want to have a target right there because I'd be risking 25 to make 16, but I think you see where that is likely to push. Now I'm going to put this over here in case we get any other trade setups. We don't have one here on the Russell yet. That is one thing about the larger time frames and the bigger targets and the looser risk management, I'll call it. It takes a little longer for everything to come together and everything to happen. So you end up with fewer, more meaningful trades that are easier to get into, easier to see happening, easier in every way. Okay, so let me just do this. So we just triggered into this trade right here on the down close of this bar right here as we came out of the overbought right there with the ribbon being spread wide open right here. Okay, this is on the YM. So on the YM, we have a 25 tick stop with a 40 tick target. I think 45 tick target, 45 tick target. And we'll move the stop to break even after 10 ticks in profit. So far, we didn't get 10 ticks. We got about 8 ticks in profit. Right. Get down to 85. Well, we got 6 ticks in profit so far. Okay. And so now it's pulling back some. If it stops us out, it stops us out. But I don't know that it will. All the markets getting a little choppy here after being really volatile all morning. We're getting a little bit choppy in here. You can see right here we have lower highs, and right now this needs to put in a lower low, and it hasn't. Over here we have lower highs and higher lows on the Russell, on the NQ, and the YM is about to stop us out. It looks like it could go up to the BBC and bounce off the BBC, and then that would stop us out. But we'll see. Okay, I don't see any questions over there. Let me check in here. Gary. Good morning, Gary. See you in there. All right. So you see we went up through the ribbon here. There's no trade here, there's no trade here, and there's no trade here right now. The only trade we have is this one on the YM. You know what I haven't looked at in the last couple of days is, let's go out here, one more out to Bitcoin. Okay, well, Bitcoin's it's taking a little bit of beating here last couple of days, it looks like. And about one more tomorrow. And that looks like it's got smacked around pretty good too. It looks like we're going to stop out here, this YM trade. I'm going to slide it all the way over here. There's a chance it'll still work out. Everything is just going back and forth across the BBC right now. Yeah, it just stopped us out. Okay, so minus 25 ticks. In the scheme of things, that's not a big deal. I want to look at the MARA. Let's blow this up and take a look. This is on a 30-minute chart. So I want to see if there's any kind of anything developing here, any kind of pattern. And this is a declining head and shoulder pattern, a descending head and shoulder pattern. Okay, this does not look good for MARA. I gotta tell you, it's not look good for MARA. This level down here is gonna get hit. Down here at 1391. So, yeah, I would not be long MARA right now. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. You all know what a descending head and shoulder pattern is, right? I'll show you. I'll draw it for you. Okay, you have your shoulder. Then your head. Then your shoulder. And this is the trend line. That's your neckline. And that's what this is over here. Okay, that's what that looks like to me. If we back it out a little bit, I'll show you what I mean. Back it out and put it down. Here's the shoulder. Here's the head. I guess I drew it wrong. Here's the shoulder. Here's the head. And so this is the other shoulder right here. And so the line, the neckline that it's going to break is, it's kind of hard for me to draw. Let me draw it this way. I might be able to draw it better with this. Is, oh, come on, man. Is, if you take that into account all the way down there, but if you don't take that into account, it's like this. Something like that. So when I said this is going to get hit, I have to go all the way down here. Just to bounce off it, it would have to go all the way down here to bounce off it. But this pattern is gonna still be in effect. So from a pattern perspective, Mars is looking pretty bearish right here. From everything else, it's looking pretty bearish too. I mean, everything is looking bearish on this thing. Don't know if I need to trade that, but let's go back over here to these four and see. Now, this is the one we stopped out on right here, right? It went back up, it hit the ribbon, and it stopped us out pretty much to the tick, a little more through the tick, and now it's pushed down. Now it's got to push down and put in a lower swing for us before we'll take another trade. And you can see here on the NQ that it is absolutely indecisive. It can't choose a direction. All right, so let's look and see something here. That looks like it's way back there. There we go. This needs to put in a lower swing. This needs to choose a trend, trend, trend. All right. So we don't really have anything right now. Other than that, we have 15 minutes left, and we don't have any markets that we can trade right here. I could go look at something else that we haven't looked at in a while. Let's look at GC. We haven't looked at gold in a long time. You know what? I want to look at gold, not on this chart. I want to look at it on a 7 range because I think gold would probably be better traded on the 7 range. Just go with the leading contract. I'm not sure which one that is right now. And let's apply the same logic, same everything to gold so far today. Okay, gold, remember, is $10 a tick. And so we're using the 10 ticks up. We're only taking trades when the ribbon is spread and you can commodity overbought or oversold. Okay. Now, I haven't looked at gold in a long time. Right here at the news, so it's after the news, okay? Post news. Ribbon spread, right here, your commodity overbought. So that's one. That's one. That right there is one. Put in a lower swing, so you could have gone that one right there. Didn't put in a lower swing, so you're not looking at that. Come all the way over here where the ribbon spreads out again, and right there is one. Ribbon is crunched up, ribbon is crunched up. Goes the other way. Right there is one. Right there is one. Right there is one. Right there is one. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's a loser here yet, right? This might be the first one right here. If you took this trade right here, that would be the first loser right there. Okay. Remember, you're only trying to get the goal for the day, right? You're not trying to take 1,000 trades. You're trying to get the goal for the day. Remember the spreadsheet? Remember the results after getting the goal? Every one of these right here that came out of the overbought worked out 3 in a row right there. Over here right now, this one right here did not come out of the overbought. This one did. That one would have stopped you out right there. And that's it. That's what gold looks like. Let's look at the crude oil. I haven't looked at crude in a while either. Look at crude on the same time frame. And crude is also $10 a tick. It was pretty wild today. Today is Wednesday, but it was a holiday, so the crude inventories don't come out till tomorrow, right? But just looking at the same thing. When the ribbon spread, you come onto the overbought. Spread, you come onto the overbought. Didn't put in a lower swing. That was enough to get you stopped to break even. Ribbon is spread right here. You come onto the oversold. You trade right there. Ribbon is spread. You come onto the oversold. It's enough to get you stopped to break even. You just put in a higher swing. Again, right there. Enough to get you stopped to break even. So the gold looked a little better than this. Decent trade there and there. Those both had deep pullbacks. You didn't need to use all 10 ticks of risk on those. This one right here, same thing. Deep pullbacks, but they did work out. This right here, if you took that one, the ribbon's kind of crunched up in there. If you took that one, it didn't put in a higher swing, so you could have taken that. But if you didn't take that, it would have been a break-even trade. I mean, you would have had profit on that if you didn't take that. If you did take that, it would have been break-even. You would have skipped that one. You could have taken that, which was a beautiful trade right there. And that brings us all the way over here where we currently are. The ribbon is spread out enough to take a trade. It needs to pull back and get us into the overbought. Okay. That's what crude oil looks like. What else haven't we traded in a while? Still no lower swing here. Still not spread out. Still not spread out. Still not spread out. All right. Actually, the NQ actually did give a trade here. It's late to get into now. The entry point would have been here at 36.5, and it dropped down to 33. 36 down to 33. That's only 12 ticks. 32 and a quarter. I'm sorry. The low on that was what? 32.75. So it's exactly 15 ticks where I removed the stop to break even. All right, so let's go back in here. I want to look at other things like 6E. Oops, that is something we haven't looked at in a long time. Let's go here and look at there it is. 6E, look at the front run on that. This is something I haven't looked at in a really long time. Is this 825 a tick? Or I'm sorry, 625 a tick. I think it is, right? 625. The euro. Anybody remember? I haven't traded it in so long. But lots of opportunity in here. Every time it comes out, they were sold when the ribbon is spread. Every time it comes out, overbought when the ribbon is spread. That one wouldn't work out. That would have gotten a condensed some at 10 o'clock. Not a ton of trades though. That was yesterday. Not a ton of trades here on the, and that's why we stopped looking at it. What else haven't we looked at in a long time? Soybeans, look at ZS. Soybean futures. Now there was something in particular about soybean futures back in the day. Yeah. All right. ZSU is not the contract to be on. Let's do ZS1. It's a leading contract. There it is. Okay, so this is the soybeans on a 7 range. Again, not a ton of trades. A win, then you would have to wait for a higher swing, which we just got. This is 1250 a tick like the ES soybeans is, so you would have had one trade there that would have been okay. We are going to have November on the soybeans. Thanks, Michael. X. If you just go to the ZS1, that's the leading contract. It's a leading contract. So that's going to become an issue next week. The indices, if you have the 1 exclamation point, because they're probably going to roll automatically before we roll. But not a whole lot going on there with the soybeans. Not on the 7 range anyway. If you put the soybeans on the smaller time frame, how big is this move right here? That's 6. How much is that? Is that 19 cents? 19 cents in that move. That's a huge move. 4 range. That's what I was thinking. 4 range on the soybeans. See if there exists any more opportunity. A little bit of a down, but it's still not putting in higher swings everywhere. You had a decent trade right there. Another one just triggered right back here. Right in there. You got to spread it out a little bit so you can see the ribbon. But right there was one. Right there was one. Right here. And right here just now. Just a few minutes ago anyway. Magic. It's not the holy grail, but it is magic. Ronnie, I see you texted me a message. I don't know if you're in here. You are not in here. How you play it forward? Okay, I guess I can answer his question. You have to have a higher swing on every trade, whether you take it or not. If it's a valid trade, you have to have a higher swing. Like this one right here was a valid trade, right? It's got to put in a higher swing to be able to take another trade in that direction after. There was one I thought in here a minute ago that I saw that did not put in the higher swing or the lower swing. We're on the soybeans, right? Like right here, this was a valid trade that did not put in a lower swing. If you're just taking the pull out of the overbought, this was also, nope, not there, sorry. This right here was also a valid trade. Spread it out so you can see the ribbon is actually spread. This was the first, this over here was the first trade that did not put in a lower swing. So you can't take any other thing after it until the lower swing happens. Okay, the reason for that is so you don't get stopped out in a row in the same direction on the same market. That was a question that Ronnie has texted me that I thought I would just answer for you. His question was, how do you play it forward? Let's get off of this and go back to the ES, so it is just really giving us 7 trades. Go back to the ES and look at the ES. I know it's on a 4 range, but we can still look at it on the ES, I think. When you get a trade, like in here, this right here had your opportunity to go short right here. And let's go on the 7 range because the 4 range, I'm going to say, we just stopped right even after a couple of ticks in profit. That's just kind of crazy talk. So right here, For instance, you had this shorting opportunity right here that did not put in a lower swing. Right? You cannot take another trade after that until you do get a lower swing. Right? You had this one right here, that did not put in a lower swing. You can't take that one. You can't take that one until you get this lower swing right here, and then you start taking other trades after it. So it has to continue the trend, right? Every time you take a trade, even if you don't take the trade, let's say you didn't take this trade, but you can see it was there. It was a valid trade that was there. If it does, this is all you know about it right here. This is all you know about this. If you took this trade and you got your stop to break even, or you took a little profit, and it did not go down below this level right here, all you know about this so far is that it went down to this point. You already took the trade and it didn't continue the trend. Right here you have your next trade setup. This is a valid trade setup if you're coming off a lower swing. If you missed this trade, it doesn't matter. You still don't take that trade. Okay, if you missed this trade, you see that it was a valid trade and it should have put in a lower swing. If you missed it, you don't take the follow-up trade, right? Because you don't have a trend right here. This should have put in a lower swing. It should have given you a trend. It didn't. It's the beginning of chop. Until you get that trend, until you get that lower swing, which establishes the trend, it confirms the trend, it's chop. All right, so you go bar by bar, and you don't take that trade. You don't take this trade, right? You don't take that one because this still didn't put in a lower swing. So you don't take that one. It would have worked out for some profit. You don't take that one, which would have worked out for some profit. But now you got a lower swing. So now you can get ready for the next trade, right? So now you're just waiting bar by bar here. You're just waiting. The ribbon's all spread out nice. You're just waiting. Nice spread out ribbon. You're just waiting. Now you could be in this trade. You could still be in this trade from right here. So you're not really, you're not necessarily, you could be managing your trade. But right now, what are you waiting for? You're waiting for pricing this to get up into the overbought. The ribbon is spread out nice. You need that to get up into the overbought. Okay, so here it gets into the overbought and you get a down close on this bar right here, this red bar right here. You get down close. That's a valid trade. Right there is a valid trade. You can take that trade. The stop goes to break even after 4 ticks in profit, and the stop is 10 ticks. So does it stop you out? It looks like that did stop you out right there. 38.25 down to 37.50. It would have stopped you out. Okay. So you had this trade over here, you would have gotten some profit on. This next trade right here, you would have gotten a lot of profit on. This trade, that would have stopped you out. Okay, again, you're just trying to get the goal for the day. With all these trades here, if you traded in this whole hour from here to here, if you traded in that whole hour and you did not get the goal for the day, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something really wrong. Okay, because that was a good trade, 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 and that one finally stopped you out. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 good trades and 1 stop out. Now, if this is the only trade you got, well, you know, that stinks. But you know, that's happened to me. You know, I missed nine in a row that are good, and I take the one that stops out. That's happened. But just get ready for the next one. Right over here, there you go. Your next one's set up. The ribbon spread. Get that down close right there. You're short right there. Bam. Got your money back. Some of it anyway. See right here, the ribbon spread. Take the next up close. Up, the ribbon just turned red. No trade. Yeah, the ribbon's back to blue. On this up close right here, it's back to blue. But can you see all 4 lines? I mean, you could argue you could. But let's wait until we get something that's clear. There, it's clearly spread out right there. We're in the overbought, so we need the next down close. Next down close. The ribbon's turning blue. Going over. Ribbon spread out. Ribbon spreading out. The ribbon spread. We need to come out of the overbought now. Get into the overbought and come out of the overbought. We're in the overbought. We're coming out on the down close right here. The down close right there. Bam. That's your trade right there. 33.75. It looks like it might have pulled back enough. It depends where you filled. Might have pulled back enough just to stop you out to the tick. If we keep going through little by little like this, you see, wait for the ribbon to spread, wait for the ribbon to spread, wait for the ribbon to spread. I guess the ribbon spread, you could argue it spread right there, but it's not really great. It's not the easy and obvious trade. It is commodity oversold with enough of spread. You get your higher swing. Now that's a nice spread ribbon. So here's the next one. You're looking for the up close before the ribbon gets crunched up. There's your up close. Your long right here on this up close, 39.25. Bam, profit. Looking for the same thing again. It looks like this gave you a trade right here, just enough to get you stop to break even. Ribbon is spread. Because you had a valid trade here, it has to put it in a higher swing before you can trade in that direction again. That's what I was just saying. Response to Ronnie's thing. Okay, ribbon is spread, and there it is again. Bang, right there. Now it has to come out of the oversold, so this up close didn't bring it out of the oversold, so it's not a trade yet. Okay, and it's still not a trade. Still not a trade. And it turned down. So now you're looking for a bounce out of the overbought. Right here, the next down close is right there. Bang. Nope, that didn't bring it out of the overbought there either. So that's not really a trade either. Okay. This next one right here, this red one, that brought it out of the overbought. That's your trade. And that would have stopped you out. All right. Anyway, enough bar by bar. I got to wrap this up and send it out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona. But we can go through some more of this later, tomorrow, if you want to. But I am going to wrap it up. Let me just explain everything that's going on here. This is the TV Trades Range Trigger. This is only available to passport holders and people who are in the room in the morning and in the session right now. Okay. If you want to get this on your desktop all day long, you got to be a passport guy. All right. That is it. If you don't know what it takes to become a passport guy, you need to take the free trial. To do that, you go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. No credit cards required for the trial. That's going to be into this registration page. Fill out the form. First name, last name, email, phone number. By multiple choice. This TradingView login ID. This stuff that I just showed you right down here at the bottom is only on TradingView. If you don't have TradingView, you can't get that. TradingView has a free version that you can get, and you can apply that to. All right. That's the only thing you use. That's TradingView. Because we have the ribbon on all the other platforms. So you get this running on TradingView, this running on the free version of TradingView, and that'd be the only thing you're using from TradingView. You can make it work if you want to. Anyway.
If you're a mentoring member, you can always upgrade to passport.
Yes. If you are mentoring, you can always upgrade to passport.
CFRN.net for specific instructions.
Yes. And and that's it. If you're mentoring, you can watch it in the room in the morning, or you can watch it in this session right here. Other than that, no, you have to wait. All right. So we don't have any trades right here. Everything is spread out, though. All four markets are spread out. Now, this didn't come out of the overbought, so that's not a trade. This did come off the ribbon, but not out of the overbought, so that's not a trade. This came off the ribbon, not out of the overbought. This didn't do either one. So it's pretty close to setups, but it's not here yet. And that's it. With that, I will pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park.
Okey-doke. Recap of the morning session.
Today, it was a weird number it came to today. 11 minutes, 5 trades, $1,327.50.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Why do you say the NQ didn't come out of oversold?
Because it didn't. It didn't.
It turned down, but it hadn't got
it turned down, but it didn't come out of the. I said oversold. I meant overbought. Sorry, Michael.
Overbought. There you
go. All right. I meant overbought, not oversold.
Right.
You were right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. He was correct. I meant overbought. Okay, well, it still didn't come out of the overbought. I mean, that's a ribbon trade. If you took that right there, that's a ribbon trade. That's not the trigger trade. Yeah, you took the trade before it was even in overbought. It came out of overbought at 13:30.19. is when it came out of overbought. So that was a trade back there. But the most recent one where it bounced off the ribbon, it wasn't even in overbought. The last time it was in overbought was at that candle at 1329.43. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Well, I know you got to go. Get ready for your webinar. And
Okay.
we'll pick up where we left off, guys. We were on gold.
Excellent.
And again, vertical lines separate today, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. When price rallies up to a weekly zone, we expect resistance to prove otherwise. When it drops to a zone, we expect support to prove otherwise. So we got our resistance, got our support, got our resistance on the pull back to the BBC in red and falling, and then we got support at the zone. And then we closed yesterday right at the zone resistance. This was the opening candle last night. We just kind of consolidated along the zone. We had a little reach up here. Try to get to the target. It was enough of a reach to get your goal for the day. You only need a $1 move in gold. That's $100 per contract traded. With crude, different story. A $1 moves $1,000 per contract traded. But anyway, we came down to the short target. Price got below the BBC, got below the zone, had that perfect stack, price, step line, red and falling, dropped to the short target, and dropped to the zone. Overshot it just a little bit. Still got one more zone down at 2456/57. And so from support, went looking for resistance, back to support, back to resistance at the target. There's a high from yesterday. Took out that target by just a wee bit. Now the step line has crossed blue and climbing, so price is going to most likely pull back to the BBC and the zone. That's support times 2. So there is a good probability we catch a bounce from here. If we don't, keep in mind if price were to trade through the BBC, got this bullish cross right here, which you expect to be support, and then the low of this candle, which you expect to be support, and then this candle put in a low at 25.1280, so 8 ticks away from that short term. On silver, hi ho. Here's the open last night. See how it works from support to resistance. Resistance to support to resistance, etc. Okay, so we opened last night right here. Bump our head on the BBC, the pullback holds more often than not. That was enough to send us down almost to the short target. The swing low was 28.22.5, so we missed it by a penny and a half, but it only takes 2 pennies to get your goal for the day. So you're below the BBC, you got red and falling overhead, you got the step line overhead, nothing to do but go short. This candle opened at 28.34, and from 34 it dropped to 25. So that's 9 pennies. That candle right there is worth $450 per contract traded. Support sends us to resistance. Resistance sends us to support. Back to resistance. Back to support. Consolidated for a few hours. And then we began the climb. First step, get above the BBC. Get a leg. We get the bullish cross. That's confirmation that price wants to move higher, and it did. Right up to the zone. We found resistance. Resistance in it looking for support. Which it found in blue and climbing. That support, that took us all the way up to the long target. Resistance. That resistance sent us back to the zone support. Now the step line is crossed. Blue and climbing's overhead, possibly on its way to becoming red and falling. If it becomes red and falling as we hit BBC, then there's a greater possibility that we could trade through the BBC. You know, the pullback holds more often than not, but eventually it will trade through. And if by the time price gets to the BBC, we've got red and falling coming down, then there's a good chance we trade through. But you want to watch this area for potential support, and then obviously the bullish cross should be good enough for a bounce. If on the second attempt or third we get through this area of support, then you got a nice window of opportunity down to the zone. Again, it only takes 2 pennies to get your goal for the day. Silver, not the best market for a brand new trader, but it can be a good market once you get your legs, trading legs. All right, last is the euro. Here's where we open. Got above the BBC, ran right to the target. Consolidated, and the resistance here sent us back to support at the BBC. That gave us a leg up where we came just shy of hitting the zone. Resistance and just looking for support. Now, right here, bullish cross that led to an extended move when price revisited the area, and it is an area. What did we find? Support. Support sends the market looking for resistance. We get above the BBC. And then once we cruise through this zone, got price, step line, blue and climbing, BBC, ran all the way to the zone where we consolidated. When price hits a zone, 70% of the time, that's what you're going to get is consolidation. You got it there. That's wide-ranging consolidation. You got it there. There. 20% of the time, you'll get rejection. 10% of the time, the slice. Now, the step line has crossed blue and climbing. So we expect price to retrace to the BBC. Pullback holds more often than not. So then we would have a potential long trade back up to the zone. If we trade below the BBC, keep in mind you got a bullish cross right here, right above that long target, and that's potential support. You want to get down into this area here on the short side, and then you've got a window of opportunity down to the low of that candle, and if we trade through that candle, then we've got a low down to right there, and then down to the weekly trading zone. These are the zones published yesterday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Normally they're published on Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, except when Monday's a holiday. Then they come out on Tuesday. Since December 14th, 2009. Okay, last time we looked at the daily chart, we had a doji, but now the doji's showing a red body. Remember, on this drop, okay, we were looking for price, and I posted it in the discussion group last night, and I labeled all the areas for potential support, okay. And right here at the lowest fib extension, 54.96, that just lines up perfectly with that bullish cross. So by the close of the session today, it would not surprise me to see us reach this area, okay? And that should be good for a bounce. Possibly all the way back to the BBC. Now, here's the thing. If we come down here, find support, bounce back to the BBC, we still expect that to be good resistance. Right now, the BBC is just below the 24% fib retracement. No, it's just above the 24% fib retracement. It's just below the 24% fib extension. So this is a bearish chart. Look for lower prices with potential support here. Here at 38. Again at the 50. The low of August 12th. Low of August 9th. And there's the 62. And then there's the recent low, which held off the previous bullish cross, which led to a very extended move. Again, this is a market looking for direction. Whenever you see a doji like this, that's a market looking for direction. Now, there's important jobs number on Friday. And the market may lay in wait for that to come out. I mean, there'll be some up moves, some down moves, but big move may not come till Friday. Not sure what we have for news tomorrow, but check your favorite news feed. I like investing.com. At mytradingiq.com, you can get the news calendar from TradingView. And Michael's favorite used to be Forex Factory. They all show the same reports. They just label them differently as to high impact, low impact, medium impact, etc. Okay. All right. To become a member, go to mytradingiq.com. If you have any questions, call us at 949-42-EMINI. Send an email to support@cfrn.net. As a passport holder, you'll have 2 hours of live interactive training every trading day, along with 2 hours of group training every day. You have access to private one-on-one mentoring. The strategy you learn, the indicators you own as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Futures, stocks, crypto, Forex, ETFs. Price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance. It's a never-ending cycle. It's been in place since the inception of the markets. It'll remain in place until the markets cease to exist. Why? Because that's how markets work. As a passport holder, you'll get the Logic 247 alerts, the concierge trade alerts. You get the weekly trading zones every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And you'll be able to attend the members-only workshop every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, and that's tomorrow night. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. mytradingiq.com. Let's wrap it up with our good word for the day. The last few days we've been talking about when God sends you an angel. Talked about that for 3 days. Let's go for 4. What do you say? What do you say? Daniel 6:22. My God sent his angel and shut the lions' mouths. Here are some more situations when God might send an angel to help you. 1. When doing the right thing gets you into trouble. Doing God's will put Daniel in the lion's den. But God brought him out and publicly vindicated him. The king declared in Daniel 6:26, I issue a decree that in all my royal dominion, people must tremble in fear before the God of Daniel. Not Daniel, but the God of Daniel. When else might God send you an angel? Number 2, when you're tired of battling temptation. When the urge to pick up a drink, drug, or cigarette feels overwhelming, or you think the only way out is to lie, or loneliness is driving you into the arms of the wrong person. After Jesus had battled temptation for 40 days, the Bible says in Matthew 4:11, then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him. When the load you have been called to carry feels too heavy, facing the indescribable agony of being crucified on a cross, Jesus prayed the defining prayer of his life. Father, if it is your will, take this cup away from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. Then an angel appeared to him from heaven, strengthening him. It's in Luke 22. God will strengthen you through his word and prayer. Sometimes he will send people you know to help you do it. Paul wrote, we were harassed at every turn. Conflicts on the outside, fears within. But God, who comforts the downcast, comforted us by the coming of Titus. 2 Corinthians 7:5. Other times, as we've talked about for 4 days now, he will send an angel. Bottom line, when you call on God for help, you can be sure that help is on the way. And that's our good word for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with his mercy and with his grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.